ज्वाइन होते जाएंगे। सर आपका टॉपिक है आज का इम्प्रूवमेंट ऑफ रिसर्च एप्टीट्यूड एंड रिसर्च स्किल्स। सर हम लोग सभी इसी प्रोफेशन में हैं और हम चाहते हैं कि कुछ जो डाउट्स हमारे हैं वो आपसे क्लियर करवा पाए हम। सर प्लीज अगेन कॉलेज आपको वेलकम करता है, महाकौशल महाविद्यालय। और मैं सभी की तरफ से आपसे निवेदन करती हूँ, आई एम रिक्वेस्टिंग यू टू स्टार्ट विथ।
Of you, madam.
Thank you so much.
But from my side also, I am very much thankful for the organizers for giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts and whatever the knowledge I have with respect to this research. Very good afternoon to you one and all. I think this session is quite challenging to me because after food, it's very difficult to engage you all in a very active mode. I'll try my level best to take in a journey with a knowledgeable journey on the topic, whatever the assigned to me by the organizers. As madam has mentioned, for today, the topic assigned for me is improvement of the research aptitude and the skills. Before going to the topic, just I will tell about myself. As madam this one given an introduction about me, I am Professor Shivshankar, working in Department of Management Studies from last 16 plus years from statewide this one university, that's a Vishweshwaraya Technological University, which is named after a great engineer of the country, that's a Sir M. Vishweshwaraya. Without this one wasting much time, we'll go to the actual business of this one topic. Okay, as the name was, the topic was given, improvement of the research aptitude and the skills. In fact, actually I planned for my presentations with the basics to know about what do you mean by research aptitude and what are all the skills with respect to the research. From that, I'll try to take up, and I planned it in two sections. In the part A, I'm going to be deal it about, or I'm going to be convey the message or informations about what do you mean by research aptitude and being in a teachers. As madam was mentioned, all are working professionals as in a teachers. Being in a teachers, either it may be in a secondary schools or maybe graduation or post graduations. Being in a teacher, our role nowadays has extended its origin along with the teaching learning process. We need to involve more in a research activity also. In that connection, being in a teacher, what are all the research knowledge we need to have, how we need to go ahead about it, and what are all the recent skills, and how we need to keep updating ourselves in order to make our beneficiaries or stakeholders or students in a well manner. Because especially after this breaking of this COVID-19, I think it's a very challenging for every other professionals, including the teachers. If you ask me, the education sector is this one sector which was affected a lot by this COVID-19, and as well as it was, this COVID has made us, and it was given an opportunity to think in a different versions or in a different orientations also. Because most of the nowadays, by looking out of this scenario of the COVID, most of the times we need to do, or we need to plan up of our research activities more of an online rather than offline or physical, which we are doing it in earlier. Because if you want to survive, or if you want to sustain in an academic field, especially as in a teachers, as in a teaching, in a teaching learning process, we need to keep update ourselves. Then only we are able to share the knowledge, updated knowledge, to our students in the 4-wall classrooms also. In order to update ourselves, we needs to get research, or we need to search in more of information about all the fields also. Either it may be technical, or maybe medical, medicines, agriculture, or any other field, it's, or maybe the finance also. Okay. This is in a slide probably which everybody will going to be everybody will going to be endorsed to me. Research is nothing but it is an opportunity where it would be help us to create in a new knowledge, or by this activity of in a research, it would be help us to augment or to to have an additional knowledge about our additional knowledge to the existing database or existing knowledge of anybody's person's knowledge one. Only by this research, in the word itself only research, it means that we are trying to search some extra information within the existing knowledge database. Then only we are able to expose it to some other new areas or maybe new sectors of our economy or any kind of a knowledge itself. So which was rightly mentioned by Neil Armstrong, who is the man, who is the first man in the whole world stepped into this one on the moon. Who is the being a great astronaut of an American who has said research is an activity where it would be help us to create a new knowledge, which would be help us to learn a new knowledge about any topic or any sectors of any business also. Okay. Actually, first I'll try to tell what do you mean by research as well as an aptitude. Aptitude is nothing but probably every other whoever may be in this group, maybe already you know what do you mean by basically what do you mean by an aptitude. Aptitude means natural ability to do something. Means, as I mentioned, research is nothing but an activity or it is an act where you are going to or you are trying to do something or you are going to in a search of some information or you are going to search some extra new ideas or facts or kind of in a database. So in order to going for any research activity, first you need to know some ability, and this research activity is not any new concept. It was in a very this one very old concept right from our time immemorial, right from our Harappa and Mohenjo-daro or Mesopotamian civilization or Indus Valley civilization. This research activity is doing it, and till today we are also doing it. For example, if you take during this COVID-19, every other countries striving very hard are doing research on finding a vaccination for this COVID-19 itself. In one or the other way, in every other fields, not only in the clinical research, not only in academic research, not only in agriculture, in every other industries or in every other sectors of an economy, there are every day we are going to be coming up. Every day we are coming up this one across so many problems. In order to find a solution for our day-to-day routine activities problems or any other social or economical or maybe any technological or maybe national integration, we need to keep doing a research activity. Then only we are able to find a solution for our problems. Then only our ease of life or ease of doing business will able to comes to true. Means without research, I think no development will going to be happen either in the field of agriculture, either in the field of education, either it may be a primary school or secondary school or maybe collegiate or any other, even in the field of medicines, even in the form of defense. Means across, what exactly I wanted to say is the research will going to use for all the sections and all the categories and all the versions and all kind of activities. Without research, we cannot able to update or we cannot able to elevate it to a higher level, or we are not able to step into the next level of a success. For example, if you take the countries like in developed countries like in America or Japan or China, for what reason, if you start searching for what reason America or China or maybe some Japan, they are the developed countries, why not maybe India is not in a developed country? Because the R&D, that's the research and developmental activities, plays in a major role in developmental one, in any developments. If we want to become a developer, or if I want to develop myself, I need to have a strong research knowledge with us. Then only we can able to come up, or then only we can able to innovate the new ideas, or maybe the new technologies, or maybe any kind of new gadgets for our convenience or for our any kind of business itself. Before going to that, just for somebody, those who are just new to this teaching field, in order to brush up their knowledge or to give some basic knowledge, let me start. What do you mean by a research? I think everybody knows it by this time. Research is nothing but it is an attitude of an inquiry. Means it is an act of where they are going to do some kind of an inquiry. Means where they are trying to collect some information, and upon the collected information, they are going to be analyzed, and that would be help them to arrive some conclusions or kind of results on. And it is an attempt to elicit the facts. Elicit means where by this research activity they are trying to collect, or they are trying to gather some kind of an information or a kind of a data or kind of a facts and figures itself on. And the research is in a systematic, no doubt. Again, in my ensuing slides, probably you will going to be find being in a scholarly research, we need to go by some kind of a procedures or some kind of a defined steps itself on. So it is in a systematic as well as scholarly application of scientific methods, and as well as research is in a state of mind also, where exactly we need to involve ourselves, we need to apply our knowledge as well as in a technical as well as any other skills in order to arrive the results, or in order to reach some conclusions. Okay, and for what reason, or what is the importance of a research, or why we need to this kind of a research? Either this research not only required at a graduation and post graduation, or not only required at our master's degree program, or maybe at our PhD programs. Even this research activity needs to be taken place even at our kindergarten schools also. Means in education, this research was started right from kindergarten, even whatever the highest program may be in a postdoc or any other things one. Okay, and what are all the characteristics of the research? It is a scientific investigation. Means by this research, we are trying to find a solution for our problems. Either it may be day-to-day problems, or maybe in some macro problems, either it may be politically or economically or technologically itself. And this research will helps in developing and evaluating the concepts and the theories. Why? Because we cannot able to live with the old theories or with the old kind of any technologies. Every day the technology needs to be it needs to be upgraded, it needs to be updated. Then only we can able to update ourselves, as like by this updated knowledge or technology, it would be help us to make our lives still more better. For example, if you take the example of mobiles, last whatever the 15 or 20 years back, everybody knows it, what kind of problems we are facing when we have only the landlines, that too which was giving by only the single company called as a BSNL. If you want to make any phone calls from one village to the neighboring village, sometimes we need to wait even sometimes more than an hour or 2 hours after making a trunk call. We need to first book in a trunk calls. Whenever they connect us, we need to speak. That too, we are not able to speak as like us now. Wherein after inventing of this mobile with all these GSM and CDMA mobiles, we nowadays within a press of button or within a fraction of a second, we can able even to contact any corner of the globe also. And by this kind of a technology, we can see what are all the things are happening in any corner of the globe to the other side of the globes also. For example, without maybe this kind of a technology, maybe the Zoom or whatever, the online or digital mode technology, I think probably I cannot able to address you today. Whatever the benefits or whatever the things we are finding today, it's all because of the great research which was happened in technological aspects. Means by the fruits, by the yields of the technological research only, nowadays we are contacting virtually. By I am sitting in by the some corner of Karnataka, I am speaking to the different parts of the country also. Okay, and this research will expand the limits of the knowledge. Means no doubt, earlier days, if I want to know something about some industry, I need to go and purchase the textbooks, or maybe the some kind, I need to speak to the person very personally. Wherein nowadays, this research would help us. Everything is made available at the finger of the tips nowadays. For example, if you sat 1 minute in the front of an internet, you can able to collect any kind of informations within a fraction of a second, and you can download tons or loads of any informations, thousands or lakhs together of any web pages information on your desktops within a fraction of a second. It's all because of the research, and findings through the research cannot be implemented immediately. Why? Because sometimes every research result sometimes not able to this one implemented immediately. Why? Because it's needs to go through its own procedure. Sometimes it requires its own time, and it is an essential tool for a good decision making. The aims and objectives of the researcher, main aim is to find out the truth which is hidden and which is not been discovered. And 1 second. Okay, and another one is gain familiarity familiarity with the phenomenon to achieve a new insights, and it will also portray, or it would be help us to accurately the characteristics or description of any topic or any products, and determine the frequency with which something occurs. That's an, it would be help us even to the diagnostic also. Okay, and it would also help us to test the hypothesis of the causal relationship between the variables. Why? Because sometimes you are going to be cause and effect relationships. For example, so something happened wrong in one product, you are going to be find an impact on the other side of the products, or in the other side of the other side of an economy also. For example, if you take last few days back, when a charge handed over, this one charge taken over by an Joe Biden, by an Trump in an America as a president, you are finding an impact even in the share market of an Mumbai also. Means Indian share market are also as an impacted. For example, when just few days back, when our Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman was made in a budget on the floor, and then this on Lok Sabha Assembly floor, you are finding an impact even on the Nifties and or even in the find of an Australian share market also. What exactly I am telling you, most of the times this research would help us to assign or ascertain the relationship between the some variables, that is an dependent variables and an independent variables. Means in order to know the cause and effect relationship, this kind of a research activity would be help us for what reason the cause and effect will going to be happen, at what extent it would be this some things are changed or impacted either maybe in a positive or a negative way. Okay, and normally you will going to be find that's a classification of in a research. I think probably all you are already aware. Majorly we are going to be find the two types of majorly. Apart from this, there are other types of this one types of research there. Maximum in social science research, you are going to be find either maybe descriptive as well as an analytical. The descriptive means the description of the state of the affairs as it exists. In order to know at a deeper level, this kind of a descriptive research will going to be used, and it will also known as an ex post facto research. Means after the activity, we are going to be try to understand for what reason it wasn't happened like that one. Okay, and researcher has no control over the variables. Why? Because which is already assertive, it is in a post facto. Because once the activity is already over, we are just ascertaining, we are just assessing what is the result and for what reasons probably the result was happened like that. And used to discover the causes when variables cannot be controlled, and fact-finding inquiries and the field service, and method of the research in most of the times in the descriptive is in a survey, either by using an observation methods. I'll come back to that. What are all the survey methods? Either by using an observation method or a personal interview method, or maybe sometimes we will go for survey method by using our own pre-tested or sometimes predefined schedules. Questions are in the form of a schedule and a questionnaire. The another side of a type of research is that's an analytical research. Exactly as in the name suggests that the research will going to be attempted, means they are trying to find out an answer for as a solution for the problems by using some kind of an analytical tools. It means as to use the facts that are readily available, by using the facts and figures which is already available, by using that they are trying to assess or they are trying to predict the things for in the future periods, and facts analyzed to make some critical evaluations also. These are all some types of research. First one is very casual, that's a very fundamental one. That's a fundamental research. Normally we are going to use this fundamental research used when developing the theories, generalization and principles, methods in the form of a sampling, hypothesizing as well as a laboratory research. Applied research means where exactly they are trying to apply in some practical fields itself, and that's an utilized principles made by the fundamental researchers to know the problems with the best possible manner and undertaken to solve an immediate problem. Means in order to find a solution with the existing systems, they are going to be applied this kind of research. And another one is action research, that is an immediate applications but not any development of a theory itself. Here I am trying to give what is the difference between the applied research and the fundamental research. Applied means find a solution for the immediate problem, wherein the fundamental generalization and formulation of a theory, and research is aimed at a solution in this application part, wherein in the fundamental concerns natural phenomena are in a math itself. And solution is there's some pressing practical problems here, wherein in fundamental, it's a finding information that has a broad base of an application. And as like you are going to be find the other types of research, one is quantitative research, another one is qualitative research. Quantitative cannot be quantified. Why? Because it's in a non-parametric itself. And qualitative means used in a behavioral sciences, used when studying the human behavior, and projective techniques will going to be used in the form of an PERT, CPM and all. And there's some phenomena involves the quality of the kind also. And other types of research are conceptual research as well as an empirical research. Conceptual means based on some ideas on the theory and used by the philosophers and the thinkers, wherein the empirical researchers are more on relies our experience on the observations and database research and experimental research itself. And normally you are going to be find this type of research, that's a one-time research confined to in a single period, not going to be in a concurrent or repeated one. And longitudinal research carried over the several time periods one. Means sometimes you are going to be find longitudinal research in the form of a comparative study, pre and post WTO or pre and post COVID itself one. This kind of research normally will going to be named it as a longitudinal research. It means they are going to be do the research activity in the different verticals. Okay, and field setting research or laboratory research depends upon the environment. Depends upon the environment or clinical or diagnostic this one. And clinical or diagnostic research that goes deep into the cause of the events or things, and exploratory or the formalized, that's a development of hypothesis or testing hypothesis. And historical means that's using the historical resources to study the events or ideas of the past problem. And problem oriented research are to look for the solution for the problem. Means in this way, I think probably already you people are aware of the basics of research. What do you mean by research? What are all the advantages or benefits of the research? And what are all the types of research? As I mentioned, you either it may be applied research or fundamental research, or maybe an empirical or other kind of a research as well. These are all the research requirements before getting into an action of a research, because which already I said you in my first word, research is a systematic scholarly activity. It is in a systematic scholarly activity. Obviously, means being in a research activity, it should be go by in a well-planned manner. Means it is in a kind of a management activity, because research activity will going to be involved your cost. Means you need to involve the money also, as like you need to put in efforts of human resource efforts. So at that moment, we need to be very careful. Why? Because both money as well as human resources are in a very scarce manner. Means whenever any resources, that's a limited resources are involved, we need to be very careful, or we need to be very cautiousness. We need to apply more within a systematic manner. Why? Because if we go by trial and error, it's a waste of our money as well as any efforts. That's why being in a research, before getting into this research activity, we need to go within a more systematic. It's a well-planned one. The first one is that's in a planning. There's a definition and classification of purpose and scope of an operations. Before getting into research only, we should define, or we should to know for what purpose or what is aim of this particular research, or what is an agenda, or what are all the outcomes of this research, or at what extent we are going to get a benefit out of this particular proposed research itself. And analyze to determine meaning of the facts, and planning helps in bringing a good results in the conclusion also. Why? Because any research, either it may be small research at a school level or a college level or a PhD research scholar, at the end, being in a research activity, that should be arrived, or that should be concluded, or that should be resulted with some meaningful figures, or with some meaningful inferences, or the results. The next one is, after planning, even we need to have any guidance also, that it helps the researcher concentrate on the problems, and there's some concern with the selection of the problems also. And even we need to have an expert's opinion before getting into an actions. Why? Because if we not taken any expert's opinion or suggestions, probably the research, whatever the planned research activity is not going to be happen, or it's not going to be make its course of action in a well manner. So we need to take any expert's opinion. That's a knowledge in the area being studied. For example, if I do a research atomic this one energy scientist, or maybe the persons who are having an in-depth knowledge, then only they are able to guide me in a well manner how exactly I need to get into the research. Then only as per their opinions or suggestions, my journey or my research activity would be helps without any much trouble or any kind of risks or any kind of hurdles itself on. And experts must be able to guide properly, formulate a well-planned project for the researchers also. And after that, being in a researchers, whoever may be going to get into the research, they need to be trained well. Then only they are able to make their actions and activities in a well manner. It means that they know how to plan, organize, and maximum education output. And the next aspects being in a research activity requirements, we need to take care of the finance. Why? Because as I mentioned, the research activity is involved the finance. Money is going to be involved because every other company or maybe every other person who are doing a research, they are not well off to take up the activities itself. And so finance aspects also we need to be taken up. Why? Because we need to go by a calculated risk. Problems taken for the study require the financial help from the state also, and references also we require well-planned projects. Preliminary work done helps while investigating the problems, and library, that is in which would help provide the materials or any kind of knowledge which would helps to make our journey in a smooth manner one. And research journals, that is which provides the studies and research done nationally and internationally, locally also. Why? Because depends upon the extent of a review of literature, it should be help us to make our journey or to plan up our forecasted or proposed journey in a well manner one. Okay, I think everybody are already aware what are all the research steps which already I mentioned. It is in a very systematic approach. The first step is asking the questions. You will see one by one the step. That's step 2 is brainstorming resources. Third one is locate the resources, because being a research activity, it's research activity requires lot many kind of resources, and whatever the resources, once you identify the different resources, you need to take a note on this and organize those resources and improve itself on. Let me learn what are all the research steps involved in this one. The first step is formulating the research problem. Before getting into any research activity, first we need to formulate the research problem. It means before arriving into any research problem, we need to discuss the problem with the experts, which already I said you. The experts are persons who can able to guide us well manner in order to formulate the research proposal in a well manner. Otherwise, probably the research objectives, whatever we are going to be set by individually or by our own, is not going to be any relevant objectives. So in order to have the overall research activity within a principle of the SMART, that's in a SMART, SMART SMART principle, that is in order to make research activity a very specific, measurable, attainable, and realistic and timely, we need to have a discussion of the problem with the experts and examine the available literature, both conceptual and empirical. Then only we are able to arrive in this one, what we call as a good research gap itself. What I am suggesting here is, being a researcher, the first and foremost step is, and critical step is, the abundant or an adequate, that is in a review of literature study. If we read the history or if we read the previous studies, it would be help us make our journey in a smoother manner. Then only I can able to find out what is required and where the lapses were happened in the previous studies, and reevaluate the problems and focus on its specifics. Make sure the problem can be defined unambiguously. Why? Because obviously in the research activity we are going to be find across so many ambiguities. So in order to avoidance of more maximum ambiguity, we need to have this kind of an experts discussions one, and pertinent terms in relations to the problems must be the defined one. And the second one is, that is an extensive literature survey. That's why I think probably you also endorse me. There were so many proverbs there. Who know the history can able to create an history. Who know the things, who read the things of a previous studies well manner can able to make further study in a well manner. If I don't know what are all the things and who are all the things, who are all the some persons who has done the things in the different aspects, I cannot able to make further research in a well manner. So that's a brief summary of the problem after the problem is formulated, and write in a synopsis of the topic and submit it to the committee or the research group, and literature survey by abstracting the journals and reading up of the bibliography. I think nowadays the literature survey is a very easy task, especially if we type some keywords in our Google search, probably it will give a lot many research articles or journals or books or blogs which was written by so many people. Everything will come on the desktops. Means that would be help us to understand in which are all the versions or dimensions or orientation the studies was the previous studies were taken up, what were in which area they have done it, and what are all the that's some statistical tools or analyzing tools they are used, what were the results, all those things which would be help us to make our this one research activity in a well manner one. And the third step is development of a working hypothesis. Obviously, the hypothesis acts in a major role for any social science researcher. Why? Because before getting into researcher, we need to go by this kind of a hypothesis, that is kind of some kind of a predictions or some kind of a guesses. Okay, it makes the hypothesis which made us to draw out and test its logical or empirical consequences, and discuss with the work colleagues and experts about the problems, and examine the past data and the records, and review the similar studies in that area, which would be give some kind of insights to do our jobs or to do the further research in a well manner, and personally investigate the problem with the interested parties. And the fourth, after making that, the fourth one is, which is a core part, that is in a preparing the research design. After knowing the things of in a previous, we need to get into a main step, that is in a preparing the research design. It means that means of obtaining the information, ability and skill of the research and the staff, explaining the way in which the selected means of obtaining information will be organized, and time available for the research, and cost factor relating to the research. Before making this any research proposals or research design, we need to have a thorough knowledge, or we need to have a thorough facts and figures about all these aspects. How much time is available to do any particular research, what is the budget is required, and what is going to be means at the end, what kind of research this results will going to be get it at the end of the problem. By that, at what extent as a company will going to be benefit, at an extent as a large maybe society will going to be benefit. The third one, that's the next step after designing is that is in a sample design, where exactly the physical work or data eliciting work is going to be carried out. It means that where exactly the facts, figures, any ideas, any informations, or any observations will going to be carried out by the sampling design itself. Again, in the sampling design, I won't stress much, because everybody are aware the different types of sampling. One is probability sampling and non-probability sampling. Okay, another some of the other important sampling designs are deliberate sampling. Deliberate means very purposefully, or maybe with any specific this one benefiting or in this one. Okay, and the next one is simple random sampling. Each and every item in the population is going to be an equal chance. And systematic means where exactly the getting in a sample or getting in a data within a more system means by steps. And stratified means where when you are going to be having a heterogeneous population or heterogeneous group, you are going to be divide the heterogeneous group into any different groups on some basis. By that, they are going to find they are trying to collect any data from the different strata or groups or kind of divisions one. And quota sampling, that is when interviewers are given in a given quota to be filled up from the different groups or strata, the actual selection of items for the sample being left to an individual judgment. Size of the quota is again proportionate to the size of the stratum. Stratum means that's a group or a division. And it's in a form of a non-probability sampling. And cluster sampling means by the way of a grouping of population and selecting the purpose of the groups or the clusters. And sample size must be bigger than the simple random sampling to ensure the same level of accuracy. And the next one is that's an area sampling. Means where when you want to do in research in a very bigger area, cities like in a Delhi or maybe any Mumbai, or it's not possible to go and meet every every individual or citizens of that bigger. At that moment, you are going to be subdivided the whole or bigger area into different small areas, and according to that, on the basis of divisions, you are going to collect any information on some proportionate basis. Multi-stage sampling meant for the large geographical areas like in whole country. And collecting the data, again, there are so many ways are there. There's various ways are going to be there to collect the data in the form of an experiment or a survey. Survey methods, which is again going to be include observations, personal interviews, telephone interviews, mailing of any questionnaires and schedules nowadays, even by telephonic surveys and all, even by mail surveys also, we can do it by using this one, by using any kind of Google Forms or Survey Monkeys or so many this one. And after that, there is an execution of a project. It is necessary to collect the adequate and dependable data in a systematic manner within the time, and careful watch on the uncontrollable factors. Sometimes uncontrollable factors sometimes will going to be hinders or will impact on the, it will going to be harm the research activity also. So we need to be very this one have a concurrent and monitoring valuations on these uncontrollable factors. And survey must be under statistical control and must deal with the non-respondents also. Once this one data has been collected, we need to analyze the data by using whatever the recent sophisticated tools are available, right from the basic statistical tools which are available in our MS Excel, right from our frequencies, that's a percentage, standard deviation, correlation, regressions, very simple, and even to an highest any applicable this one statistical tools also, only in order to help us to analyze the results and in order to arrive the to infer the results also. The third one is that's an hypothesis testing by using of an chi-square and a t-test and an f-test in order to know the chi-square test matlab, in order to know that what is the difference between observed as well as an expected frequency. Because before getting into any research activity, we are having our own expectations. But once the research was over, we are able to what was an actual. So in order to know the difference, sometimes hypothesis whether it this one presumption was right or wrong, in order to arrive whether the presumption is right or wrong with a null hypothesis and an alternate hypothesis, this chi-square test, t-test and f-test and some other statistical tools which will going to be help us which one we need to accept and which is need to be rejected by. And after that, that's a generalization and an interpretation. If the hypothesis is tested and upheld, it's an easy to build in a theory. And after, according to that, next step is that's in a preparations of the reports in the form of a format which includes the introduction about a topic on whichever the topic you are done in a research, summary, main report, and as well as bibliography. Bibliography means that's the references in which are all the sources from places you have referred any articles or journals and all those things. Okay, here there's some methods of research, how exactly we need to go for different types of research. The first one is that's an experimental method. That's a matter of the logic, not the location, by using laboratory methods, means by making some kind of an experiment at a laboratory. And another one is variables. Again, in this you are going to be find dependent variable and independent variable to know the proportionate at a percentage at which that's a cause and effect, in order to assess the cause and effect relationships, and degree of the control also. So that's a use of precision instruments to control the unseen variables. And again, that's the value of an experiments based on the observation methods, survey methods, case studies, and even the test methods also. Along with this, being a researcher, no doubt, being a researcher, their intention or their aim is to find a solution for the problems. Being a researcher, along with his work as in this one, he or she, even they also need to maintain some kind of an ethics. Ethics matlab, it is in a non-written code in order to maintain, sometimes in order to maintain safeguard the interest of a public or an individual, or maybe sometime to safeguard the interest of the state or a country or some particular caste or religion itself. So researcher must ensure that the data is accurate whatever the data he or she is going to be elicit or collected, he need to be ensured that it should be in a maximum nearer to the reality or nearer to the accuracy. Then only their research results will be able to comes to the maybe it will helps to find a realistic solution to the problem. If the data is wrong, obviously we cannot expect even the results is going to be in wrong also. And researcher must not try to intentionally prove in a point. Means being a researcher, they should start the research and they do the research without any kind of biasness. Means the research should be unbiased. It should not any kind of predetermined activity. And researcher must ensure that data is sufficiently investigated and findings are totally accurate. Being a researcher, they should not be discriminated or they should not be modified or they should not be cooked or kind of managed the data. Whatever the data by realistic he has collected from the survey or observation method or any type of the method, it should be analyzed and the same kind of results needs to be interpreted in without any manipulation way. Okay, and researcher must not misinterpret the statistical accuracy of the data, nor must they over-present the results by altering the findings. And researcher must ensure the privacy, anonymity, and set out of the code of the ethics. Whatever the data, either it may be collected personal data or any macro others and societal data, the data should not be revealed for any apart from this one academical purpose, not for any it should not be used or it should not be revealed for any other purpose, either for commercial or any kind of privacy itself. The next one is that is in a writing, that's a research report writing or sometimes maybe in a thesis writing. For PhD scholar, it is in a thesis writing or sometimes maybe in a typing of the report also. The final stage of the research is in a report writing, whatever the activity we have done right from the planning of the research, maybe after that planning, maybe methodology, review of literature, all the result analysis, and maybe after the inferring the results, we need to put the whatever the activities we have done, we need to put it in a formal report in the form of a thesis writing by PhD scholars or maybe in MSc or that's a master's level dissertations program. It is in a final stage of the research and it will provide overall view and solutions to the problem, and it provides all the elements of the project taken for the study and bears the total summary of the work. In this thesis writing or maybe report writing, you are going to be find everything from planning stage till the end stage of the results, and satisfy all the researchers by providing the partial or the detailed knowledge over their problems. I think this is in a normal this one pro forma or a format of a thesis writing. Either it may be in a master's thesis, dissertations, or maybe in a that's a PhD thesis. The first one is that's a preliminary section, normally which will going to be having a title page, includes the topic name, who is the researcher, who is the guide, and which institute, and all acknowledgement, table of contents, and a list of the tables and list of the figures. The next, which is in a core part, that is in a main body, where you will going to be right from the introduction about the topic, what is the exactly the topic, and what is the significance of the study, what is the scope of the study, what are all the objectives, or maybe even it includes the limitations of the study, or maybe in a presentations of the whole, or maybe chapterization of the whole report itself, and analysis of the literature, that's in a review of the literature, how many literature he or she has collected, who are all the researchers has done the research, what was their topic and in which area they done it, that's a location, what are all their results and all those things, and design of the study and presentations and analysis of the data and summary and the conclusions one. And at the end, there is a reference sections, which is a very important, especially nowadays, being in a researcher as well as in a teacher, we should not take in a very casual mode of these reference sections. Why? Because especially after this what we called especially these copyrights and trademarks, it's a very serious offense whenever we have taken or borrow any information from any sources, either it may be in a primary source or any secondary sources of any data. We should not forget to mention the reference or reference of the particular source, or else we are going to be landed, or else we are going to be landing into a trouble of a cyber, maybe in a cyber complaints also. Okay, that's why copyrights and trademarks, we need to keep it in mind, and we need to have a thorough knowledge about all these aspects. One that is in a bibliography, appendix, and the footnotes. Okay, just now this one I am planning to make it about research skill for the students. Why? Because as a teacher, our role is most of the time our role is to impart the knowledge to the students. Apart from our theory or apart from our syllabus or curriculum knowledge, sometimes we need to guide as a teacher, we need to guide them further during the internship studies or maybe the project study. As in a student, what are all of the skills he or she needs to have? Either he may be in a graduate students or postgraduate student, or maybe in a research scholar students. Let me discuss about what are all the research skills as a students needs to bear in this present era. Okay. And see, research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody else has thought itself. The research is one step ahead, where you are going to be see the problem in a different manner, where you are trying to find a solution for that problem. And research is an activity, is kind of a solution provider for the problems. Okay. These are all some steps of in a research, which already were aware. The first step is define the problem. Second one is locate the resources, select the resources, and whatever the resources which you required, either it may be in a place, product, that is even the money as well as the humans also, you need to organize and you need to present, assess itself. Okay. The first step is that's in a define. Means ask yourself these questions. What is required? Whether example as an essay or a speech or a report. And what are all the keywords? And what do I already know about this topic? And what do I need to find out? And can my teacher clarify the task? And when is my assessment due? Means first you need to define of all these things. Then only you can able to go to a next step, that is an identifying, means the location and identifying the resources in a well manner. The next one is that is in locate. Where do I find the information which I needed? And by these are all the ways by which as a researcher, as a student, they can able to get an information about the topics. Maybe by the books, encyclopedias, magazines, very much available videos by the YouTubes or any sets, internet, online databases, e-resources, and even by talking with the people as well as by consulting some organizations also. And the third step is selecting which resources we require to do any research. The which resources will be the most useful. Is the information relevant? And what can I leave out? Why? Because whatever the informations we are going to be, resources we are going to get, sometimes all resources is not going to be helpful. And so we need to decide which are all the resources we need to be used. Why? Because whatever the resources you are using, it will going to be involved your time as well as in money itself. So evaluate the information carefully and use the materials to update. Why? Because this is most important nowadays. Whenever we are going to be collect or whenever we are searching any information in the website, we are going to get lot many web pages will going to be populated. Within that, we need to assess ourselves which is an updated material or which is in a genuine or authenticated or in a authenticity website itself, and who has written the material. That is also most important nowadays, especially in websites or in an internet. You will going to be find more than a fake data, fake documents rather than the original documents or genuine data. For example, if you want to know what is how many COVID patients was expired in the last 1 month in your own state or in your own hometown, there are so many informations are available even through WhatsApp or messages or Google, Facebook. Sometimes we cannot rely on all the informations. Why? Because most of the informations are not nearer to the reality or authenticated data. If at all, if you want to know any data with respect to this COVID deaths, we need to relay the data in the Ministry of Health Affairs itself. Either it may be Central Government Department of Health or maybe your respective state government health bulletin, which was released officially by your Ministry of Health. And for what intended audience And how I record the bibliographic sources information correctly, also they need to be decided in this select one. And the fourth step is to organize. How can I best use of all the informations which I this one browsed and which I got any informations in earlier steps? Do I have enough information? And do I need to use all the informations I gathered? Sometimes it's not possible to use all the set of data or informations gathered for a report writing or for your further activity of a research. So you need to decide which is the best or which I need to use on a priority basis, and which is not in use for my topic itself. And how can I best combine the information from the different sources? Obviously, that is in a synchronizing of data from different sources and from different websites is a very critical task. Being a researcher, they need to have greater knowledge. Then only they can able to assemble the data of different patches informations into a single file or in a consolidated one. And have I used the correct spellings and a grammar? That is almost information. That is also most important one. Sorry. The last, that's in a fifth step is that is in a presenting. That is in a, how can I best present this information? Is my presentation logical and well organized? Because your presentation should reach your audience in a well manner, and it should be in a more convincing manner. And your presentation should really provide some knowledge, or it should be an eye opener for your audience or for your report readers. And have I completed the assignments within the time? And have I used my own ideas and opinions? And is the presentation appropriate to my audience? It means that your whole research activity should follow with the two principles. One is KISS, that is a KISS. It means your report, your whole activity should be in a keep it sweet and sharp. Another principle is SMART, S-M-A-R-T. That is an S means specific, M means measurable, A means attainable, R means realistic, and the last, which is very most important, is that is in a timely. T means timely. So being in a research activity, being in a good researcher, first they need to have a research knowledge as well as skills with an aim of keep it this one sweet and short, and it should be having a specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Okay. And research is a formalized curiosity, and it's a poking and prying within a purpose. Means with some intention, research they are going to collecting the informations in order to find a solution for the problems. Okay, and become an information literate. Library provides workshops on Google Scholar search and information literacy sessions. Searching the TEFL library catalogs, as like there are so many ones. Searching the library electronic resources and the database by the way of e-books, e-journals, e-videos, as well as even the referring skills is also most important. And there are 4 stages of an inquiry of the research as a student guide. First, they need to go for a preparation of the research, assessing the resources, means which are all the resources they are required, and which is the best resources and what resources they are required to carry out or to lay down the research as per the plan, and processing information and transfer the learning one. See here, I am trying to say the process of an inquiry and the research in the way of a question mark. The first one is define, explore, identify, relate, and the next step is, the second step is locate, select, gather, collaborate. Third step is analyze, evaluate, that's a test, sort, that's a differentiating or splitting up, synthesize, revise, present, reflect, and the transfer. In this way, for this we are going to be called as an OSLA model. It means that this particular model was propounded by and that's an Ontario Library Association Information Studies in the year of 1991. Means being in a researcher, they need to go by this kind of an OSLA model. Okay, the first one is that's in a preparation of research, accessing resources with locate, select, and all, the processing information with analyze, evaluate, testing, sorting, and synthesis, and transfer and learning in the form of a revise, present, and reflect and transfer. Okay. Okay. The first step is that's a preparations in the form of a define, explore, identity, relate. I think it won't require for you people because it's a repetitions one. Quickly, I will go to the important aspects. Okay. Okay. How? One second. Every note must be related to your information needs and record your own ideas as you think out of them by using the different sources, by the computers or maybe the books, records and all. Okay. And that's an impose and a limits. There is a time to stop searching and recording, review your progress and fill in any gaps. There is a time to start preparing your final product also. In this era of an information, learn to shift through the masses of an informations to your to meet your needs. Because this is an information era. Within a single, as I mentioned, in a single press button, we are going to get tons and loads of pages or lakhs together of web pages are going to be populated. Within that web pages, we should have a well knowledgeable or a clever enough, which this one information we need to consider to go ahead to this one, which would be helps for our research activity. Okay, there is an honest use of an information. Demonstrate the critical interactive through. Do not copy notes. You may own notes, but not the source. Record your own thoughts as you think of them, and record all and reference data, including the page numbers. Select the relevant quotations. Limit the number of the quotations and copy accurately with the quotation marks. Paraphrase and summarize and document the sources and do not alter the sense of the original. And academic honesty is which is in more in it's a need of the hour for the today. That demand that you document what you borrow. Plagiarism is failing to acknowledge the sources also. Being an academician or a good researcher, we need to be very good in referencing the sources. Or we should be, whenever we are taken or borrow any information from any websites or any kind of books or any kind of articles or journals, we should not forget referencing the sources of the information one. Okay. And the another one is that's an interact with the information search as an active thinking process. Think about and say the information aloud. Have an argument with the author. Impose a limit of 8 words per information bit. Use post-its to record notes. Write in the margin of the printouts. Record a visual note and record a mind map that is color coded. And these are all the just as in tips, as in a do's being a researcher need to take care while doing any kind of a research activity. Okay. The last, that's in stage 4th as per this Oslo model, that's in a transfer of learning. Whatever the things you have learned or you have this one came up or you have arrived, you should be transferred. It should be disseminated to the others also. That's in a transferring in the form of an assignments and all, formats, visuals and all. Okay, these are all the ethics in the research. Honesty in data collection and work. Truthful in findings. Away from forgery and ghostwriting. Ghostwriting means by presumption. You should not. Whatever the report you are writing, either it may be summary or conclusions or any, you should be justified with facts and figures out of the research activity. And respect and dignity of the respondents. Whatever the information you have collected, you should maintain. You should not bring any bad for their respect as well as in dignity, and you should maintain the privacy of any information. And sacrifices for the social cause and commitment to the truth than to a personal gains one. And another, which is the most important, especially for academicians, as teachers, as like you and me, why research papers are important for a teacher. No doubt the research paper, publication of a research paper, one-sided important to find a career advancement or for our promotions. The another reason, for other reasons, why we, being in a teacher or researcher, but after our action of a research, why we need to publish in the form of a research articles or a blogs or anything. Means the first main intention is probably to get some this one good API. There is an academic performance indicator for our career advancement scheme for our teaching, especially those who are in teaching for promotions. Another sided for knowledge sharing for the other stakeholders also. Okay, that's why for why it is most important in nowadays is publish or perish. It means if you don't publish, you perish. We think by writing, we think well by writing well also. More papers means more visibility. It means nowadays you are finding citations, either it may be H index or maybe I index or maybe in Scopus index journals. It means that depends upon the quality of the research outcomes, it will going to be attracted or it will going to be appreciated by so many people. So in that way, in order to, if you want to visualize more in a well manner, being a teacher, we need to get into a more research activity than the teaching. Teaching activity can be do it only in the four walls. Only whatever the things are already written in the books, we can able to contribute in the form of a theory. If you want to convince your students, either it may be graduates or postgraduates or scholars, if you have a more research knowledge or if you are updated, you can easily teach them with more of a case study methods or by a simulation method. Good papers build your reputations over time also. And publications are a way to communicate, exchange ideas, and increase in the pressure from administrators and others. You push yourself to publish your works also. And even the publication, the papers will also help us to have it would be help us to have a personal growth, enhanced self-discipline, personal lifelong learning, and career enhancement, and come from a publication process by knowing others will benefit from your work and that you can feel connected to the profession also. And publication will also help, and it's an important to your discipline that you help to create new ideas, advanced theories, describing your emerging techniques, challenge widely held views, and influence others with your growing knowledge base also. And it would also help to serve your profession, your field knowledge in general by adding to it, and can cover a variety of the topics and statistics brought to the reader's attentions also. These are all the types of manuscripts, which I'm not going to be deal much because as teachers, probably you are already well aware what are all the types of manuscripts are available, like argumentative research papers or analytical research papers, informative or maybe in a conceptual papers and all. Okay, I am not going to be deal. Okay, just it planned up with some kind of an activity. Let me check at what extent you people are having knowledge about this research aptitude. Whatever the things I said so far, at what extent you have understood. Let me check by a small activity by a test, online test here itself only. Okay. See here, I'm not going to be assessed individually. You only self-assessed itself. Research can be conducted by a person as a studied research methodology, holds a postgraduate degree, possesses thinking and reasoning ability, or is a hard worker. The answer is the person is possessing thinking and reasonability can also go for a research activity. The research activity doesn't mean that he should know a research methodology knowledge, or he should be a teacher or a student of a postgraduate or a research graduate student itself. Anybody can go to a research activity who is the person who is having a knowledge of thinking and the reasoning ability. And which of the following statement is the correct? Objectives of the research are stated in the first chapter of the thesis. Our researcher must possess the analytical ability, and variability is the sources of all the problem, and all of the above. The answer is in all of the above. Okay. And which of the following is not a method of the research? Why? Because I mentioned there are so many types of research methods. The here option is observation, historical, survey, and philosophical. Observation is not a method of research. Why? Because there you are not going to be make it any kind of systematic. As your whims and fancies are wishful, you are going to be observed. You are not going to be observed with any some intentions or with a defined objectives or purpose. So observation is not a method of the research. And research can be classified as basic, applied and action research, qualitative and quantitative, philosophical, historical, survey, and experimental research. The answer is all. Why? Because the research can be classified as the mentioned in A, B as well as in a C, which already I mentioned, which already I covered you. The first step of the research is identifying the problem. The next is selecting the problem, searching the problem, and finding the problems one. And the essential qualities of an researchers are Spirit of free inquiry, reliance on observations and evidence, systematizations are theorying the knowledge, and all of the above. Being in a researcher, he or she, they needs to have a quality of all the above three. It means they need to have a spirit of the free inquiry without any bias. They need to be in a very neutral mind, blank-minded before getting into the research, without any predetermined. Okay, and whatever the results, it surely depends or reliant on the observation and the evidences and systematizations. And action research means a longitudinal research, applied research, or research initiated to solve an immediate problem, or research with the socio-economic objectives. And research, action research means that a research initiated to solve an immediate problem. And research means searching again and again, finding solutions to any problem, working in a scientific way to search for the truth for any problem, and none of the above. Working in a scientific way to search for the truth of the problems. And a common test in research demands much priority and reliability, usability, objectivity, and all of the above. The main common test or a common agenda or in a prima facie of any research demands all of the above. It should be realistic, usable, and it should be have some purposeful or any objectivity of any research activity. And a research paper is a brief report of any research work based on primary data only, secondary data, both primary and secondary data. Research papers may be in a report on any action of a research activity which includes the data of the both primary and secondary data. Controlled group condition is applied in survey research, historical research, experimental research, and descriptive research. The answer is an experimental research. Workshops are meant for giving lectures, multiple targeted groups, showcase the new theories, and hands-on training or experience. Workshops are known for or meant for or with an objective or with a purpose of to provide an hands-on experience, a training for an audience or for an respondents or an beneficiaries one. And which of the following is in a research tool? Graph, or an illustration, or a questionnaire, or a diagram. It is in a research tool, that's a questionnaire, by which being a researcher, they will try to collect the information from their respondents, from the selected respondents one. The term phenomenology is associated with the process of qualitative research, analysis of variance, correlation study, probability sampling. The answer is in a qualitative research. Why? Because in qualitative research, they are going to be find some kind of terms and concepts which they are going to be find it itself. And research is not considered an ethical if it tries to prove in a particular point, does not ensure privacy and anonymity, that's a secrecy of the respondent, do not investigate the data scientifically, and it is not a very high standard. The answer is does not ensure privacy and anonymity of the respondents. And conferences are meant for multiple target groups, group discussion, showcasing the new research. The answer is all the above. It means as a conference, either it may be 1 day or 2 days or state level or college level or maybe national or international level. The main objective is to have the group discussions as well as with the multiple target groups and showcasing the new research ideas or any trust areas also. And ex post facto research means the research is carried out after the incident and the research is carried out prior to the incident. X means the answer is the research is carried out after the incident. Post facto means after the activity is over. It is like in post mortem. After the activity, whatever the research is going to be takes place for that, we are going to be called as an ex post facto research. And a research problem is feasible only when it is researchable and it is new and add something to the knowledge and it has a utility and the relevance. Obviously, the answer is an all the above. Being in a research, that's in a good research topic or feasible research topic needs to be researchable, which already I mentioned, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And for example, here, a 9-year-old children are taller than 7-year-old ones. It is an example of which study, whether it is a vertical study or cross-sectional studies or case studies or experimental studies. Answer is in a cross-sectional. Why? Because they are going to be compared between one age group with another age groups. Okay. The next one is the other name of an independent variable of an experimental research is treatment variable, experimental variable, manipulated variable, and D is all of the above. That is all of the above. These are all the synonymous name of an independent variables. Independent variables are the variables which they are going to be X or which is not going to be influencing by any other variables. Okay, wherein the dependent variables are going to be find an impact by the behaviors of an independent variables. And what is in a survey method? The options are laboratory experiments, field studies, and historical researches. The survey methods are field studies. Sorry. At the last, what I want to say is, to understand is a very hard. Once one understand, action is very easy. To understand only the research activities at most important. Being a teacher or being in or during this teaching learning process, being in a facility, nowadays we cannot able to call only as a teacher. So teachers are everything. They are going to be having a very multiple roles, like they are going to be in a most of the times they are going to be acts as a guide, friend, philosopher, as a facilitator for the learners. During this teaching learning process, being in a teachers, first they need to understand in a well manner. Then only we can able to convince, or then only we can able to disseminate the information or a knowledge to our students during our classrooms in a well manner. That's why we always keeps this one. I always keeps telling, being in a students, they are going to be finding two types of learnings. One is controllable learning, another one is uncontrollable learning. Controllable learning means whatever the things they are going to be learned only within the control by a teacher during the between the four walls of the classrooms. If we want to make them the students, if we want to make our students to learn more even in the uncontrollable, that's an out of the class activity, apart from the syllabus also, we need to convince, or we need to tell them by more of a research, this knowledge, facts, and the findings one. I think this is end from my side. Prior this one, I'm finished from my side. Audience, if you have any kind of any queries or any questions, kindly ask, as like I will try to provide an answer for your questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Shubhangi Dagat here. Sir, yeah, can you explain or clearly explanation about the difference between the conference and seminars?
Seminars means where they are going to be invite the expert people, and they are trying to disseminate the expertise lecturers to the other audience only.
Okay.
Okay.
And conference?
Conferences means where they are going to be, it's in one-sided this one, madam, actually. Wherein in the seminars, people will come and interact on the certain topics. Wherein in the conference, some people will going to be present on their topic, and wherein other sides, people are just going to get the knowledge, where they are not going to be find much interactive. No doubt both conference and seminars are in interactive sessions, but wherein in seminars is, it's in a more option of both interactions on the both sides, both presenters as well as an audience, wherein in conference to some extent, it is more of a limited in nature of this discussions.
It's very clear.
Questions from any audience?
Anybody else to ask some questions to sir, please?
Any questions is more.
Any doubt is there? If you are free to ask, sir. Okay.
Shubhangi, yes, ma'am. Yeah. Sir, actually, my one concern is here, especially. I'm audible to you, sir?
You are audible very much.
Okay. मेरा प्रश्न ये है कि हम जब समाज विज्ञान के विषयों में जब हम अनुसंधान करते हैं, तो दो तरह की हम स्टडीज करते हैं, माइक्रो एंड मैक्रो। और आजकल कई जगह जो एम्फसाइज किया जा रहा है, जैसे कि अब न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसीज को लेंगे, तो न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसीज में माइक्रो स्टडीज की जो है बड़ी इम्पॉर्टेंट भूमिका रहेगी, क्योंकि सब स्पेशली सोसाइटी कंसर्न्स स्टडीज होंगी, जैसा मैं समझती हूँ। मैं समझती हूँ कि क्या रिसर्च के फील्ड में एक नया कीर्तिमान स्थापित होगा इस चीज को लेकर?
Surely, madam, by this research, it would be help us to improve our knowledge, as well as it would be help us to think into a next origin also. Surely, this research would be help us for a knowledge building activity. And it is an unending for research would be research is help us to make our knowledge still on a higher version.
Exactly.
Exactly, sir. Exactly.
Additional answer for the questions which was asked by Shubhangini madam, with respect to seminars and conference.
Yeah.
Seminars are most of the times it is considered as a formal presentation by one or more experts, in which attendees are encouraged to discuss the subject matter.
Exactly, sir.
Wherein the conferences is a large meeting of for consultations, for an exchange of an information or discussion with a formal agenda.
Correct, sir. Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions from madam, from any persons?
Sir, may I ask any question?
Dr. Girish Goyal.
Yes.
Yes, you
sir,
may.
Yes. So this is Dr. Girish Goyal calling from Jaipur. A very beautiful and nice presentation from you.
Okay.
But see, one thing which generally triggers my mind, most of the persons do a great research, but whether such kind of research go to the concerned person so that fruitful answers or the fruitful conclusion could be drawn. Let us take the example. Right now, we are seeing that the fuel prices are going very severely. At the same time, everyone is affected with that. Everyone is thinking, and some of the organizations might go through a great research why the fuel prices are hiking. Correct. Even yesterday, I was reading a very great article in Indian Express also, what are the regions. But at the same time, see, perhaps these kind of research are not going to the government. The conclusions are not going to the government. That's why the government is not taking any right action, appropriate action, so that the public at a large could be benefited. So what is your view, sir, on that particular point?
See, sir, that's why, especially as compared to the developed countries, especially the countries like in India, whatever the researches we are conducting at our maybe university level or at maybe in a college level, whatever the research results we are going to get, we are not reaching those results to the concerned bodies.
Yeah, fine, sir. That is my question, sir.
If you ask me, we are utterly failed in reaching those research results to the concerned ministries or concerned departments where they need to take care by at an implementation level.
Why so, sir? Why so?
Why? Because being a researcher, for example, if you want this one, being a PhD student, what he or she thinks, once he submits his thesis, it's an end of the game. They won't think of any further. Why? It means nobody will going to be think of further. Need to reach till to the logical end of the this one activity.
Yeah.
Once I submit a report to the university, once I awarded, I am going to be forget of everything.
And that is not the right purpose of the research.
Wherein in Western countries, even a small research topic, let me take, even on the small topic on the drainage issues also, the report will going to be submitted to the concerned governments, authorities. On that basis, they are going to be work for the further this working plan on that. Wherein in most of our university project reports, either it may be master's reports or in a PhD reports, it is only as in a just report at our university.
Yeah, fine, sir. Yes.
It is not of any kind of practical implications.
That is my question, sir.
It's in a serious time and it is in a very high time. We need to really think on any practical implications of our research report results.
Okay, sir.
Then only every university's NIRF ranking or any quality standards will going to be elevated.
Yes, sir.
Especially in this recent new education policy which is brought by the present government. In fact, they have given more focus on this research-oriented education system. And if you consider the premier institutes like IITs and IIMs, and even in the Harvard Business Schools, They're even right from their classroom teaching aspects, they are doing more of a case study teaching. It means where they are trying to mold the students by taking the social problems. As like even the researchers are also more on the social relevance problems. As you mentioned, there's a price hike in the fuels, which is a very burning topic and which is going to be a very critical impact on the common man of the society in an Indian country. Only we are failing in reaching those results to an authorities. Either it may be Tahsil or maybe district level or maybe state or maybe at a central government, union government.
Okay, sir. Anyway, there is no answer for that, sir. Okay.
Anybody else to ask some question or doubts? Want to clear? Today is 4th day of the FDP. Dr. Shiv Shankar Kumar ने बहुत ही इम्प्रेसिव और बहुत ही स्पष्ट रूप से हमको इतने बड़े टॉपिक पर शॉर्ट में सारी चीजें क्लियर की हैं. इम्प्रूवमेंट ऑफ रिसर्च एप्टीट्यूड एंड रिसर्च स्किल्स, उसमें उन्होंने हम लोगों को न्यू नॉलेज, इंक्रीजिंग एक्सिस्टिंग नॉलेज, एक्स्ट्रा न्यू नॉलेज एटसेट्रा एंड टाइप्स ऑफ रिसर्च. And this research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think not nobody else has thought. It's very impressive, sir. Resources, the process of inquiry and research, OSLA model, you very much clearly you explain it, and impose limits. That's very, I think it's very important in research. You should impose limits, otherwise you will only आप केवल तैरते रह जाएंगे and couldn't find any result. That's it. Stages, ethics, important of research papers, publications, ये सारी चीजें जो आपने हम लोगों को बताई बहुत ही नॉलेजेबल, बहुत ही इंफॉर्मेटिव और बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है हम लोगों के लिए, सर. और अभी किसी को और प्रश्न पूछना हो तो पूछ सकते हैं. We have a time for 5-10 minutes.
Not an issue, madam. If anybody is having any questions in later time also, if they post
Sir,
it
please
through
give
my
your
mail,
email
I will
ID.
try
We
to
can
answer
ask.
through mail also.
Yes, sir. Please give us your email ID, sir.
Okay, madam. I will write it here only on the screen.
Yes, sir.
If anybody is having any questions.
Okay. थैंक यू सो मच. मैं रश्मि टंडन मिश्रा मैडम, महाकौशल कॉलेज, सीनियर प्रोफेसर पॉलिटिकल साइंस, इनवाइट करती हूँ फॉर वोट ऑफ थैंक्स, गिवन वोट ऑफ थैंक्स.
Madam, this is my email ID.
Okay, sir.
Which you can see it on the screen, and mobile number also.
No, we couldn't see in on screen, sir.
Madam, vtushiva@gmail.
So we couldn't see on screen, sir.
1 second, madam. You see, madam, now?
No.
You're not seeing, madam?
No, not seeing. 1 second, sir. Yes, sir.
It's
We
okay,
can
madam?
see that. VTUS. Yes, sir.
vtushiva@gmail.com.
Yes, sir.
Mobile number is 9742930331. If
Okay,
anybody
sir. Just wait.
they can WhatsApp me on this number also. I'll try to give an answer in WhatsApp also.
Okay, sir.
And even mail.
मैं रश्मि टंडन मैडम को इनवाइट कर रही हूँ, प्लीज अगर वो हैं तो.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Didi, can you hear me?
Yes,
yes. Audible.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me, Dr. Thagar. Once again, I would like to convey thanks on behalf of the entire staff of Mahakaushal College, as well as those research scholars who are also attending this meeting. I would like to convey a vote of thanks on behalf of everyone to Dr. Shankar, Shiva Shankar sir. He's from Karnataka, as everybody knows. And it was a very wonderful lecture, and we are highly indebted to him for explaining the entire topic in a very simple way. It was very easy to understand what he was trying to convey to us, because it was in points, and it was very much visible on the screen also. And I think many of us were able to note down the important points also. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, madam. It's my pleasure.
It was really wonderful hearing you, and definitely it was a very informative session. We have learned many things, and I think this topic is very important to every faculty member. Even if a person even if a person is not belonging to the social science background, research methodology is such a thing which is important to each and every member or from each faculty, and it was highly useful to us. We have learned many things, and I think it is going to be very beneficial for us, especially talking of teaching skills, highly especially in today's date. I think it was really very useful. So thank you so much once again, sir. And also, Dr. Thagat, I'm forgetting, we also had Dr. I'm forgetting his name, ma'am. The one who presented himself in the early session. Dr. Thagat, ma'am.
1 second. Yes. Because
apart from
effective science like that. Yes, concept, themes, and development process.
Ma'am, इनके पहले और किसने सर थे ना?
Pedagogical methods. No.
Yes.
This is the topic today's only. Before we don't have this.
Okay, we had only sir in this session. We did not have anybody. So,
improvement of research aptitude and research skills. Hello.
मैम शंकर सर के अलावा और भी सर, तो एक और सर थी ना मैम, उन्होंने भी बहुत अच्छा बोला था सर मैम.
The topic was different. Please mute. Please
mute your mic.
Madam, please mute your mic.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. So we would like to definitely have him once again, Dr. Thagat, ma'am. He was so good. We would like to have him again in near future if we ever happen to have such a webinar on any such topic similar to this also. So we would love to have him once again. In fact, I was thinking I failed to note down certain points. So if we have him sometime in the near future, I would like to once again listen to him, sir. Listen to you, sir.
Definitely, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, ma'am Rashmi.
And I would also like to thank you.